Welcome, everyone, to our City Council meeting for March 8th, and it's International Women's Day today. And so if we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could please remain standing, we have an invocation from Pastor Eric Watkins this evening. Welcome.
Evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your work. Let's pray. God in heaven, we thank you for what has been another beautiful day, pleasant temperatures, many fine things to do, and in many ways, peace and safety. A month ago, we might have gathered together and begun this evening, begun this meeting, even this prayer with lighter hearts. Our hearts are heavy, as so many of us are burdened with the sad atrocities that take place around the world where so many do not enjoy peace and safety. It breaks our heart, O Lord, to hear of the tyranny of oppressors, of those who this day become victims, families separated from one another, and many lives lost. So in that context, we're grateful for peace and safety. We pray that you might be pleased, O Lord, to bring peace around the world. We thank you for those who stand in harm's way, not only those in the military, but even those in other forms of law enforcement. We thank you for them. We thank you for those that you station above us at the national level, at state levels, and even here this evening at the local level. We pray that you give them wisdom, that they might do things that are good and to the benefit of our community. We pray that you give them harmony and peace, that their work might be done with a sweet spirit of unity and joy. And we ask, O Lord, that when this day is done, that we might be able to look back and see that good things were done. As we look outside, we see the beauty of creation. Behind every song, there's a songwriter. Behind every portrait, there is a painter. Behind every book, there is an author. And behind creation, there is a creator. And so you who have given us all good things, including righteous rules, we pray that those things might abound this evening. And all this we ask confidently in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, please be seated. Mr. Scala, can you please have the roll call?
Yeah. Councilmember Musgrove?
Present.
Councilmember Nunez?
Present.
Councilmember Walton?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Jenkins?
Here.
And Mayor Jones?
Here. Okay, our first item of business is the Proclamation and Presentations, and I do not see Betty Ferguson this evening. So I'm thinking, is she here? Oh my gosh, Betty. Well, we were hiding because I didn't see you. So sorry about that. Well, we're excited to have you, and how fitting because it's International Women's Day as well. So we're going to, if the council could come down to the podium, that would be great. So in San Marcos, we have this thing that we call the San Marcos Spirit of Service, and that is people that come forward and do so much for our community. And we started talking about this a couple of years ago, and we're so excited that you're here this evening because you have done so much for our city. Betty was our first city clerk. Back when we incorporated in 1963, on January 28th, I believe it was, 1963, Betty was our first city clerk. So Phil now does that job. Oh, there's a picture of her right there. Do you see? So I'm going to read this real quick. And anyway, the San Marcos Smile Award, the San Marcos City Council does hereby present Margaret Betty Ferguson with the Smile Award, San Marcos Inspiration, Leadership, and Excellence Award for service to the community. Betty has been an active member of the San Marcos community for nearly 40 years. She served as San Marcos's first city clerk, as Planning Commission Secretary and City Manager Pro Tem from 1963 to 1971. Additionally, Betty dedicated countless hours of service between her time spent in the Women Marine Corps to her contributions in city land use planning, development, and management. Betty embodies San Marcos's spirit of service, presented today on International Women's Day. How fitting and perfect. Today, Tuesday, March 8th, 2022. And you had so many different things. We didn't even have enough room to put everything on here. So would you like to say a few words for us today?
I wish I looked like that now.
You do.
No way. Thank you very much.
And one other fun fact, we served on the Creek District Task Force back in 2005 together. 2005 and 2006.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for your service to our city.
You're welcome.
Would you like to take a picture with us? Would you like to take a picture with us? You could stand right here and we'll come out to you. How about that?
We'll come out to you.
I hope not. We have one more. We have one more. Sorry. Okay, the San Marcos City Council hereby recognizes Demetrius Elaine. Whereas Demetrius began drum lessons at 6 years old and quickly worked his way through his instructor's entire existing curriculum. And whereas Demetrius was the first sixth grade student to audition and join the San Alejo Middle School Jazz Band, and Demetrius has enjoyed the musical education program in San Marcos since. And whereas in 2018, Demetrius auditioned for and joined the San Diego Civic Youth Orchestra and performed with this accomplished group for 2 years, playing in venues such as the Disney Music Theater in Los Angeles. Demetrius was also the All Southern Honor Band in January of 2020, and auditioned for and earned contracted spots on the Gold Drum and Bugle Corps for both the 2020 and 2021 seasons, touring with them across the nation in the summer of 2021. Whereas Demetrius is currently performing with the marching band, percussion ensemble, jazz band, and wind symphony while maintaining straight A's, and composing his own musical pieces in his free time, of course. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of San Marcos, do hereby commend and recognize Demetrius Elaine for his outstanding achievements with the California All-State Honor Wind Ensemble, presented today, March 8th, 2022. In your spare time, you write music. Unbelievable. Would you like to come over here and say a few words? And welcome. Congratulations.
This is pretty nerve-wracking. I think I just would like to thank my friends and my family over there for just giving me this unending support that I've been given throughout my entire musical career, and I can't wait to make more accomplishments in the future. So, thank you.
And if you want to come up here and have a picture with us, we would love that. Okay, we love honoring people here in the city. We have a lot of amazing people that volunteer and have these amazing accomplishments, from Betty Ferguson to our youth too, which is awesome. So anyway, we'll be moving on to our consent calendar. And, oh, I'm sorry, I actually have one other bit of good news. We have our new captain here this evening, Captain Ken Jones. Would you like to come down and introduce yourself to the public and talk about what you think of San Marcos? All good, of course.
Hard to follow.
Wonderful city leader and a musician. I'm just a
Yeah.
sheriff. Pleasure to meet all of you.
Oh, you would just pull the mic back, sorry.
Sorry. Okay. Is that better?
Yes. it's
Pleasure to
awesome.
meet everybody. Just a quick introduction. Ken Jones. I'm the new captain at the San Marcos Station, and looking forward to meeting all of you, working with you, and of course the citizens of San Marcos for all of our law enforcement needs. When I look at San Marcos, I look at it as a wonderful place to, if you want to start a business and be a family, a safe place to raise a family and go to great schools. And it's just a gorgeous area of the county. And I'm very blessed and fortunate to have been selected, and I look forward to a long relationship with everybody.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. And I will be, after the meeting is over, I'll be sticking around. So if anybody has specific questions for me or just wants to say hello, I'll be free.
Wonderful, thank you, and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, next item of business is our consent calendar. Are there any items that any council members wish to pull? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. So we do have a time-specific item. We have 3 public speakers. Actually, I take that back. There's more than that. So we're going to start with a couple of public speakers and see how far we can get through them. And then we will stop at right before 6:30 so we can have our time specific. So our first public speaker is Marlene Walder. Marlene, come on down, followed by Lynn McGrew.
Thank you. It's that time of the year, I guess, again, for me to start up. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I'm back because our rent is coming up, should have been in January, and the homeowners have been working with the owners of the park. Oh, I'm Marlene Walder, and I live at 1145 East Barham, San Marcos Mobile Estates. And I'm referring to that in question, the park. They have started to do a few things like paint the surface of the pool, which is already peeling, and they only did that last month. I feel like they're holding us hostages to do anything in the park unless they feel they get their just due of rent increase. And I'm not for it because they haven't done anything in 3-4 years. I'd say even longer than that, but the new-ish owner hasn't owned it that long. But everything has been continuously deferred, and so I'm against any rent increase, and since it may come in front of the board, I'm hoping you'll agree with that assessment. Yes, someone deserves a rent increase every year, I think, with especially the way the economy is going, but they don't deserve it if they're not using the increases to improve the infrastructure and the park itself, and nothing towards infrastructure has been done. The streets are so bad that we have a sinkhole, we have holes when you drive down the streets, and they did do it, but I picked up a piece of the tar from when they did it, and it is less than an inch thick. I thought even blacktopping of a street had to be something like 3 inches or something. I may be wrong, but they're not even up to code. And now with all the big trucks and everything else going down the road, it needs to be like a city street. It is no longer just a mobile home park. They're bringing in heavier equipment, heavier mobiles, heavier moving trucks, larger moving trucks, since they're using the whole lot and putting up 3 and 4 bedrooms for seniors who now keep bringing in more and more family members. Anyway, that's my opinion, and thank you very much. Also, they're not allowing for more parking spaces when they're bringing in houses with 3 and 4 bedrooms. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marlene. Next speaker is Lynn McGrew, followed by John Mosier. Welcome, Lynn.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I live in the same 1145 East Barham Avenue, and I've been there since 2007. My concern basically with the rent increase, which is absolutely astronomical, is they basically say they won't settle or do anything different. We had an 11.2% that they wanted to go up, or the streets wouldn't be able to be fixed, which is absolutely crazy. We've paid our rent, every one of the members in that mobile home park, for the last 2 years and all the time that all of the COVID has been going, even though the hardship to some of the people that are on a fixed income of $700 Social Security a month. And any big bump will basically put them to where I don't know where they're going to try to move to, because it is a senior park. Nobody's supposed to be in there other than seniors. And as Marlene said, that there's quite a few issues that have been in the offing for the last 4 years, and they had promised to fix them each year before September, and I'm like, here we are coming up, we haven't even settled, and we're coming into the autumn again after summer, and we'll be doing the same thing again. I know you're going to be getting probably things on the agenda. I would love to have them open their books, because every time we get down to the nitty-gritty, that's when they usually will fold and start to negotiate seriously with us, rather than just throwing numbers at us and having us kind of worry about it, fret. There's an awful lot of people that are worried right now. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Next speaker is John Mosier, and I think we'll have time for another one, and that would be Bill Gilfillin.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Mosier, San Marcos Mobile Estates, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, City Council members, Helen, Jack. I came before you back in November when we were working on this process to begin with this year. I've been doing this now since 2017. The effort by the homeowners to get the people, the management company, to take care of the park properly has been an ongoing battle. We've negotiated rent increases over these last 4 years. 2018, we agreed to a 2.6% increase, and for that, they were supposed to take care of our streets at that time. We're going on our 4th year of that 2.6% increase. The streets haven't been taken care of. They've gotten worse. Now they're at the point where they need to be totally taken out, go down to the base, rebuild the whole thing. Each rain from 2018 on, you would see it get worse. Our holes in the street started out like so. We now have them like this. The last rainfalls, more. It's our walking paths. We have no sidewalks. That's one of our biggest concerns. The other is that historically, they haven't really maintained the park. I brought in handouts for you again, and this time we took a brief overview of what's happened this year, what we asked them for. The last 3 years, the current manager has refused to take work requests, and yet it's written in that that's what we use to requesting to let them know what's happening. As a result, what we did this year, so we have a good accounting and trying to get a basis going forward, is we sent out a questionnaire in November, and we put items on there. We ended up with a 26-item list. that we took from that input and we sent that off to the new lawyers that they're had out of LA now. Nobody here in San Diego. Now we're dealing with somebody in LA that wanted a Zoom meeting. We asked them to come down here for 2 Saturdays in January to please physically walk the park with us, so that each space, the spaces where we have these concerns, and we have the documentation that's very simple, that we could get a basis to start with. We ended up with one Saturday, less than 3 hours, and not with anybody from up in LA that's doing the paperwork, but with the old attorney that they've used for years to handle stuff down here. Needless to say, some of the big items were just said, okay, we're aware of that. No pictures were taken of the streets, no acknowledgement of the holes that should have simply been patched 1.5 years, 2 years ago for our safety. And now we're to the point that the new lawyer up there has increased the request. Our CPI change this year was 6%. Last year, they backed off of 2.1 instead of turning their information in. They re-requested that and added some, so they started at 8.21. Now they came out at over 11%. Last Friday, before they did their submittal, they offered to come back down to the original 6%, where it should have been the whole time, and started negotiating from there. So we've come for help. We brought information because it is coming before you guys. So far, they haven't dropped down to what would be a reasonable, even any kind of increase. Our problem in the past has been things we agreed on haven't happened. We've got a piece here, a piece there, but just taking care of the people in the park properly, it hasn't really happened. And people are now staying in their homes because they know it hasn't done them very much good to do something. We've gone to the building inspection department here quite a bit. In fact, now they refer people here instead of actually having professionals come out and look at either the hillside where we've got retaining wall problems. You know, our utilities need upgraded because it's 56-year-old area. So all these things we're responding to, and we're asking them for input back. This year they turned their numbers in, and by looking at them, we know they're inflated in some areas. Our response will be, please break this down. Send us invoices showing what you're paying these people that actually work for you. There's only 4 maintenance guys, 1 full-time lady on staff in the park, and 1 part-time. And they've got $150,000 that they say is attributed to that. We have all kinds of things like that in there that just are erroneous, and we want them to back it up. They put it in writing, they submitted it to you guys and to us, and before it gets actually to the hearing, we like to get a breakdown, even forensic accounting. They only went back to 2019. We'd like them, at least for this, to go back to 2017. Okay.
Thank you, John. And if you do have something for us, you could just give that to Phil or Julia, and they'll get it to us.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
your
very
time,
much.
guys.
Thank you. Okay, we do have 5 more minutes, so our next speaker is going to be Bill Gilfillin. Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to address the council. What I'd like to discuss is I'm concerned about the traffic situation on Nob Hill Road, and this is the road that I live on. We have a school on the street, and we have children going to and from school 5 times a day. And the problem that we're having is we have 5 stop signs on Nob Hill Road. Nob Hill Road is 1.7 miles long, from Nordahl across Bennett down to Berger. What people are doing is they're running stop signs. Not just running the stop signs, but not even slowing down. And I'm concerned about the children and about other people too that are walking to and from different locations, that someone's going to get hurt and hopefully nothing worse. Also, on some of these stop signs, they don't have pedestrian crossings that are marked. And the stop signs are located 4 ways at the church, 3-way at the school, 3-way at Augusta, 4-way on Bennett, and 3-way on Woods. Problems are very heavy traffic 7 days a week. People use Nob Hill Road as a shortcut to get from northern San Marcos across to Nordal to get down to the shopping center. And I can understand our community is growing. It's going to be more traffic coming, and I think something has to be done about this on Nob Hill Road. I'd appreciate any help that you can give. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. So 2 things, and staff will get back to you, so please leave your contact information. But whenever anything you notice is going on in the community, we do also have a tracking system where you can report a concern, and then it will get back to you and it will let you know what's going on. It's right on our website, and I'm told there is a tab right on our front page where you can just click on it and report a concern. But we'll get back to you. But if you have any other issues, feel free to use that. It's just a really easy way to report something. You could do it in your pajamas in the middle of the night, which is great. And then you don't have to come out on a Tuesday evening. But anyway, we will get back to you. Make sure you leave your contact information.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I just want to ask,
yes.
Bill, I want to ask one question. You are the Christmas Lighthouse,
He is.
correct?
Yeah, he is.
I just want to say thank you for lighting it up this past Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
I went there many times with my granddaughter, so thank you for doing that.
And it
Thank
takes
you. A lot of work.
months. You start right after, isn't it Halloween?
No, I start the 1st of September.
September. Okay, before
It
Halloween.
takes me 3 months to put it up, 2 months to take it down. And we have hundreds and hundreds of visitors every year.
Yes, thank you.
We enjoy doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have only 3 minutes. John Bavois is next, but I see he's out. We have Joanne Stevens. Do you think 3 minutes is going to be enough for you, Joanne? Oh, she's not here? Okay, all right, well, John, do you think you can,
Madam Mayor, those may be for item number 9.
what? Oh, it's item number 9? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
The
that.
e-bikes.
My apologies. No, my apologies. You're not yet. Not yet. Sorry. My apologies. Okay, I didn't see that. Sorry, I stuck them together. That was my fault. Okay, well, we have just 2 minutes. I think I can do my report in 2 minutes. If I can get you can do yours in 2 minutes? Absolutely. All right, you're on.
Thank you. I'm reporting back on the Clean Energy Alliance, of which the City of San Marcos is a member. We have not had a meeting yet this month. We won't have our next meeting till the end of the month, and that concludes my report.
Oh, well, that's very easy. Okay. Anyone else not have met?
Sure, I can do my report.
Okay. 2
My
minutes.
report's on North County Transit, and our next meeting is next week.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Okay.
I can keep it going.
Okay.
For the League of Cities, our next meeting is next Monday, on the 14th.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we have 1 minute, so I think we are ready for you to come on up and,
Oh, you will?
yeah, I think so, because he did have a meeting.
Okay.
Okay, time specific will be at 6:30. Item number, public hearing for the ordinance 2022-1514. Public hearing number 4 for redrawing of San Marcos City Council member district boundaries and introduction of the actual ordinance to accept the boundary adjustments. And I'm trying to make it go for 1 full minute. And this is our time-specific item. And our special counsel will be presenting.
I'll
this evening.
introduce myself very slowly.
6:30.
I didn't want to
We're
rush
ready
you
to
off.
go. Okay.
Scott Smith with Best and Krieger, Mayor and Council. Great to be with you. When we first met, March seemed like such a long way off, and here we are. I just want to say I've enjoyed very much learning about your community, your leadership in the time that I've spent on your front row. Congratulations on what you're doing and building such a wonderful and unique place for your citizens. So here we go. We have some homework that the council gave us in connection with your duty to redistrict your council election districts at the end of each decennial census. And so what we'll do is review 3 maps that you asked us to bring back, ask you to select a preferred map, and then to introduce an ordinance with one of those maps stapled to it, if you're ready to do that tonight. My written recommendation in the staff report says to adopt the ordinance. It's really to introduce it. It still needs 2 readings, and I'll explain next steps at the end here. As we've noted before, your voting districts are relatively fresh. 1 and 2 have council members that will stand election in 2022, 3 and 4, 2 years after that. Here are your existing districts. They have, with population shifts since the last census, your districts weren't written in 2011. They're newer than that, but you use 2010 data, as you were supposed to when they were drawn. And that data has shifted some population and ethnic trends that require that you to look at them now. The existing districts have a deviation. That's a difference in population between the largest and the smallest district that's beyond the 10% rule of thumb. Most court cases approve deviations of less than 10%, but those with higher deviations don't fare so well when they're challenged. San Marcos is sitting at a 19.8% deviation between the largest and the smallest. And so that's a fixed point that we need to shoot for in doing this. The other is also a numerical question, and that is that under the Federal Voting Rights Act, if a district can be drawn that has a majority minority, that is some minority population that as a block could constitute a majority, you're supposed to try to draw that district. And District 1 is already in that state, and our encouragement to you was to try to preserve that if humanly possible. And I mentioned that the population needs to be closer to equal among your districts. These are considerations under the Fair Maps Act that we went under last time. And, I just went past your instruction to us, which was this. We had, 2 visits ago, you asked us to take a real academic, real professional cut at balancing your populations, to do that in a vacuum. Thank you for letting us do that. We came back with Map A in your packet that really did that. And the council, I thought, was impressed with that, except that you asked us to look at some of the juts and peninsulas and crannies in those maps. So Map C, which I'll come to in a second, is the result of that. You received one map from a member of the public, which is in your packet as Map B. Here's Map A. You saw that at the last meeting. We took that back to look at where possible, putting communities of interest back together, neighborhoods that consider themselves apart and cohesive from their environs, and then, as I said, lopping off some of those bumps. Option A had a total deviation of 6.54%. Again, San Marcos is a little tricky because you do have some very distinct major corridors, especially the freeway coming through, so we tried where possible to respect that. That's really the result. That's where that deviation comes from, is trying to respect those big, significant physical boundaries in your community. Finding A met the 10% rule at 6.5%. It kept District 1 intact as a majority minority Hispanic voting district. We got Palomar College wholly within District 4. It's currently split. And as I said, it used major streets and natural boundaries to divide. Here's option B, which I said came in from the public. Option B is elegant in the symmetry and contiguity and the compactness of the districts as a diagram goes. And by the way, that's important under the California Fair Maps Act criteria. You really couldn't do better. It follows major corridors almost to the letter. The problem with option B is that it has a great deviation, 4.73%, but it does away with that majority minority voting district in District 1. Citizen voting age population in this scenario falls under the 50% majority, even though the resident population is above 50%. But what counts for Federal Voting Rights Act is CVAP. Here's map C. This is, I think, the takeaway and what we're recommending tonight. This is essentially map A with nooks and crannies eliminated to the extent we could, and still respecting the ideal population. It has a deviation of 7.97%, which is still acceptable and I think will still hold over the next 10 years. Option C keeps intact the majority-minority voting district in District 1. And then here's a little list of tweaks that we were able to do. Discovery Street and keeping that neighborhood intact was real important. We were able to use that street to reunite that neighborhood in one district, using that as a boundary between Districts 2 and 3. Rock Springs Road, we were able to scooch District 3 and 4 so that it could serve as the boundary between 3 and 4. Division 4, really it was begging in one, I'll show you the pictures in a minute. In one area, it's really begging to come all the way down to SR 78, but it wasn't possible to bring it all the way down and keep your deviations where we wanted them. So instead, that one was moved down to South Santa Fe Road, which is a major corridor and I think a good division point in people's minds and on your map. Division 1 and 3 boundary, we were able to move to go along First Street. We toyed around with moving all the Grandin Avenue neighborhood down, but that brought the total deviation to an unacceptable level. These are those tweaks in the map C. I can show you if you need me to show you how this text works, but these were cleanups that I think you pointed to a couple of them specifically that we were able to undertake in map C. So this is a hearing tonight. You'll want to open the hearing, take any testimony that's here, review these maps, select which one you'd like to be stapled to your ordinance. If you're at that point, our recommendation is map C, and then introduce that ordinance tonight. When you have second reading on your ordinance, that ordinance will take effect immediately. Most ordinances that have second reading have a 30-day waiting period or a referendum period. Since this ordinance relates to elections, it will go into effect immediately. You'll instruct your city clerk to send the maps and the accompanying GIS information to the county registrar. So I'm available for questions. If not, you can go straight to the hearing and your deliberations.
Okay, do we have any questions? All right, then I'd like to open the public hearing, and I do not see any public speakers. Any discussion? It's pretty straightforward. This is our fourth meeting about this.
So, just a couple comments. Thank you for looking at all those tweaks. I understand you couldn't accommodate all of the requests, but there's a valid reason why you couldn't accommodate them, because we have to be within the certain.
That fixed point.
Right, so we appreciate you doing that.
Of course.
And then, and we can, if we approve this tonight, we have to have one more, and we can do that at the next meeting. We don't have to wait a certain amount of time.
That's right. It doesn't have to be a hearing after tonight,
Okay.
and it can be at your next regular meeting.
Okay,
It's just a second reading, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Scott, real quickly, the CVAP numbers are drawn from the census and not from the current tally from the registrar's office?
That's right. Mhm.
Okay, so that could have adjusted since the census took place, but it's immaterial for another 9.5 years.
Right, yeah. The second number, which is just residents, is different, and I can show you that chart. I think it's in your packet.
Okay.
But that doesn't really count for purposes of the federal act.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, Council. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Seeing none, we need to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion to close. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Okay, public meeting is closed. And do we have a motion to adopt, I'm sorry, introduce?
So moved.
I would like to second the motion. I presume,
Yes.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor, you're talking about the preferred map?
Oh, yeah.
C.
C, yes,
Oh, yeah.
staff
Sorry, map C,
recommendation.
thank you.
Right.
I second the motion to adopt map C as the preferred map.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, we will probably see you the next meeting, I guess, at our second reading. Okay, next item is ordinances. Ordinance 2022-1515, an ordinance of the City of San Marcos, California, amending Title IX Parks and Rec, Chapter 9.04.
You want to finish that?
Oh, I was just going to do it at the end.
Okay.
Sorry, Chapter 9.04 of the San Marcos Municipal Code regarding use of Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on the city trails and updating provisions relating to parks and park hours. And staff presentation, there you are.
City Attorney
Oh,
Peak's going to lead
That would be me.
I looked over, I saw Buck and one of our rangers, so I was thinking, great, we've got
Very
everyone on
important
board.
resources there.
Yes, of course. Okay.
On behalf of Parks and Recreation, I'm delighted to present for the council's consideration this evening a proposed ordinance that would amend Title IX, Chapter 9.04 of the San Marcos Municipal Code to allow Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on city trails, except in certain specified areas, and which would also update provisions relating to parks and park hours. The San Marcos Municipal Code, Chapter 9.04, addresses the city's parks and trails and currently does not permit the use of motorized vehicles on city trails. A motorized vehicle is defined as any motorized equipment and includes motorized scooters, segways, mopeds, or any other similar devices. Non-motorized vehicles are defined as non-motorized vehicles, oddly enough, that are driven by means of pedaling or pushing without a motor, such as street bikes, mountain bikes, strollers, tricycles, etc. Accordingly, e-bikes follow within the definition of a motorized vehicle, and the San Marcos Municipal Code currently doesn't permit the use of those on city trails. The California Vehicle Code classifies e-bikes, which have an electric motor of less than 750 watts, into three categories. Vehicle Code Section 312.5 identifies Class 1 e-bikes as those that are equipped with a motor that provides assistance only when pedaling and that ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches 20 miles per hour in speed. It's called a low-speed pedal-assisted electric bicycle. Class 2 e-bikes are those which are equipped with a motor that may be used exclusively to propel the bicycle and that is not capable of providing assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles an hour. And that's also known as a low-speed throttle-assisted electric vehicle or electric bicycle. Class 3 bikes, e-bikes, are those that are equipped with a motor that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling, ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 28 miles an hour, and is equipped with a speedometer. And those are also known as speed pedal-assisted electric bicycles. California Vehicle Code Section 21207.5 allows Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on equestrian, hiking, and recreational trails, and prohibits Class E-bikes unless the governing body permits the operation of such vehicles on bicycle paths or trails. In September of 2020, Parks and Recreation staff were initially approached by members of the city's Trails Advisory Committee about the possibility of allowing e-bikes on city trails. E-bikes were being used on city trails now, and it appears that the trend could continue to grow. Park and trail use has enjoyed a significant uptick in use since the start of the pandemic, and the surge has included a sizable number of e-bikes. E-bikes are also a popular form of recreation for those who might find a regular bicycle challenging for trail use, or walking for that matter. There were several meetings of the Trails Advisory Committee to discuss the matter and to solicit public comment. The issue proceeded to the Parks and Recreation Commission, which referred it back to the Trails Advisory Commission and for further public comment. The Parks and Recreation Commission also formed a focus group from the hiking, biking, and equestrian trail user groups to work on the issue collaboratively. When the subject was returned to the Parks and Recreation Commission, the commission approved a recommendation that the council allowed Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on city trails, with the exception of certain trails surrounding Walnut Grove Park, which sees a good deal of equestrian use. After receiving that recommendation, staff conferred with the Fallbrook Lands Conservancy, which will be overseeing trails in the conservation areas of the Highlands subdivision. The Fallbrook Land Conservancy informed staff that it does not permit e-bikes on trails that it oversees based on recommendations of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, which sort of makes sense when you understand that those are trails in conservation areas. Because of the way that Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes are proposed to be incorporated has been by amendment of the definition of non-motorized vehicles to include those classes of e-bikes. The 15-mile-an-hour speed limit of San Marcos Municipal Code Section 9.40.0704 sub F would also apply to e-bikes. As is the case with bicycles, they would also be required to yield to pedestrians and to equestrians. Following on the comprehensive approach taken by Parks and Recreation to elicit and address public comment on the issue, the draft before the city proposes amendments to Chapter 9.04 to allow Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes on city trails, excluding trails around Walnut Grove Park as well as trails within the conserved areas of the Highland subdivision. Exhibits reflecting those excluded areas are part of the agenda packet for this item. The proposed amendment to Section 9.04070 sub F prohibits Class E electric bicycles or homemade electric bicycles in any park or on any city trail. Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes are noted as permitted except on certain trails, as we've noted, designated by the Director of Parks and Recreation. The Director would keep a list of trails on which e-bikes are prohibited, and a map depicting the prohibited trails would also be posted on the city's website and kept in the office of the Director, made available to the public on both those fronts. The map and list are to be updated as necessary in the discretion of the Director. For example, subdivisions may be developed in future with conservation easements and trails where e-bikes should be prohibited. Under the proposed ordinance, they could be added to the Director's list and to the website, and a San Marcos Municipal Code amendment would not be required. Another proposed change to Chapter 9.04 pertains to park hours for Tier A and Tier B parks. Tier B parks are those that are only, Tier A parks are those open only from sunrise to sunset. Tier B are open during those hours and also for sports events or other public benefit events that occur after sunset. The proposed amendment to 9.04.030 provides that the Director of Parks and Recreation will keep and update the list of Tier A and Tier B parks so that amendment of the municipal code is not necessary every time a park comes online or changes status. We also recommend that 9.04.030 be revised to refer to sunrise and sunset times that are linked to the city's website, rather than referring to local newspapers as the sole or primary resource. In the event that the city's website is down for any reason, the sunrise and sunset times published by the San Diego Union Tribune would control. There are other miscellaneous cleanup items contained in the proposed ordinance to update citations to relevant municipal code or other code sections, remove unnecessary language or to be consistent with definitions, etc. And with that, staff's recommendation is to adopt the proposed ordinance. And our esteemed Parks and Rec staff and I are happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mrs. Peak. Do we have any questions for staff? I actually have one. And I don't know how tough this is going to be to eliminate this. So looking at the Highlands Trail Map, can we pull that up, or do we have that available? I'm just not sure why on the trails that are not allowed to have e-bike use on them, because they are in a sensitive habitat area, why we are providing access right at, is that it? Yeah, okay, so see right there where it's got that little T, it looks like a little T from this vantage point? It's showing it, yeah, right there. Yeah, the green, and then, no, sorry, this way, down this way, to the right. In the middle, it looks like a little T.
To the left. Down.
Yeah, to the left, yep. Yes, right there at the end of what looks to be a cul-de-sac. Well, it's actually a Y, I guess, an upside down Y. Do you yes, that right there. Sorry. Why do we have that as a spot where we could have access when I think it would encourage people to go on the sensitive habitat area?
I will defer to the GIS folks that assisted us with this diagram. However, I believe that this is a part of the trails that the city will oversee and not the Conservancy group.
So the only problem that I have with it, though, truly, is I think you're going to encourage people to go on that conservancy area. Would it be too tough for us to just eliminate that as an accessible area?
The exhibit could be changed to prohibit it, and the area could also be potentially signed.
Yeah, I
very
think it
clearly to prohibit e-bikes. But some of these, as the subdivision is still underway, it may be not as clear as it can be in later iterations. The general idea is to keep it off of the Fallbrook Land Conservancy areas.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just feel like it would encourage people to actually go on it. I think if we eliminated that as having access, that would make a lot of sense. I don't think we would have to make a change to the actual ordinance. It would just be to the map itself.
That's correct. And Mr. Martin, as the Director of Parks and Recreation, could designate that as a non-e-bike trail, that portion of that city trail.
Sorry to throw it to you. I just was looking at the map as I was, right before I was leaving my house, and I looked in and went, wait, I missed that before. It just doesn't make sense to me. So
So your concern is the e-bike traffic on those?
Yeah, I think you're encouraging people to go on that, and that's a very sensitive habitat area, and I don't want people to think, oh, well, it's available right here, I'll just go in, and then they start going, and then they don't see the sign. Do you know what I mean?
It may reduce confusion also.
Yeah, I think it does. So anyway, I personally would like to eliminate that one little TY, whatever you want to call it, that little spot right there, to have access, so that there's no confusion. It's just you can't go on that trail at all whatsoever, not for 10 feet or 20 feet, however far that is. Anyway, that would be my suggestion on the map itself. Any other further discussion?
I have a quick question. Are we going to post any of these areas that are restricted? If the assumption is that the trails are generally available, we do have some, as the mayor spoke of, and then regarding the area around the park, are we going to post those?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to post some signage in a variety of places to alert the public to the change.
The easier answer is what's restricted as opposed to what's open?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. So do we feel we had enough participation from the various groups out in the community regarding this?
So Taylor worked very closely with the TAC to ensure that we were getting the right representation at these subcommittee and focus group meetings. We worked very closely with the Office of Communications to ensure that we developed flyers and we did the social media platform so that we could get as much input from the public as possible. We receive upwards of about 140 returns on the social media platform, which was really, really good. We think that, well, I feel that we did a really good job in making sure that the people that are going to utilize those facilities had an opportunity to voice their opinion.
Okay. And then how are we going to enforce this?
To the best of our ability with our new sheriff.
No. The sheriff is only going to govern the roads.
Yeah, I think the answer to your question is that, you know, our park rangers will have to attempt to enforce it as best we can. I think if the council adopts the ordinance, once we put it in place, it's going to take some time to assess what the challenges are. And obviously, if we have to provide some level of resources, we'll do that. But I think you have to give it some time once we adopt it, notice it, make the public aware of the change, to go out there. But it'll be mostly our park rangers. I don't anticipate sheriff doing any enforcement here. I think sheriff involvement with our trails is more if there's actually a significant incident that occurs that warrants the sheriff response. So it'll be an internal enforcement of our park rangers.
Okay. And then my other question is, so the majority, at least the majority of people that I see riding the e-bikes right now look to be minors. So they don't have any experience learning how to, any driver's education type experience, if they even have that anymore. I have no idea. So how do they receive any education about?
That's a good question.
It seems like it's a parental type situation, possibly. How are they going to receive education about how to ride these e-bikes? Because I saw a group of like 5 kids the other day on the streets, and I'm sure they were minors. So how are they going to be informed
So
about
we
it?
work closely with the San Diego Mountain Bike Association, SIMBA, and we're actually working in collaboration with them now to develop the Bradley jump course and pump track. We recently had an educational format at Hollandia Park, and we were recognized by California Parks and Recreation Society for this event. It was working with them to show them about bike safety, first aid, things of that nature. Not so much on the electric, the e-bikes, but just following the rules and taking care of their bikes and things of that nature. Going forward, though, I know that the Sheriff's Department is working closely with the school district to better educate them on the safety factors that come with those bikes, because as we know, they go extremely fast. I know they're having some really good success from what I've heard. We haven't really had any challenging situations to speak of that somebody's been really injured, but at the same time, we're also working very closely with the equestrian community. We have an event coming up, and I know Patty Morton's here from Tovia, Twin Oaks Valley Equestrian Association, and that event is on May 15th, and that will work in conjunction with some of the departments within our city, with Parks and Recreation and the Rangers and Safety, and SIMBA also with the electric bike and the trail courtesy.
Yeah, I guess that's my concern, would be the trail courtesy. That's a good way to put it, because, you can have people out there on their horses, you can have people out there hiking, and I just don't know how we're going to enforce we probably can't, the trail courtesy, because, people are out there, they have their headphones on or whatever, they may not hear a e-bike coming behind them, or it may scare the horses or whatever. So, but they've all had input. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We have 2 speakers this evening, too.
I also think it's important to recall that the area that's most used from an equestrian perspective is an area where we're not permitting them at all. That's not to say that someone's not going to get on one and go on one of those trails. That's an enforcement question. But that's part of the education of hitting those areas hard once the ordinance is in place, to make sure anybody that would go on one of those trails where we wouldn't permit them at all doesn't do that, or at least doesn't do it again.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Which, again, back to that one little piece, eliminating that, then you have the signs right there, so that people don't actually get on that. Did you have something, Maria?
I have sort of a follow-up question. So what are we seeing now in the trails? Are we seeing a lot of e-bikes, or what's the activity like now?
Yes, we currently encounter e-bikes daily on our trails. So at this point, it's education, what we can do with our staff, with our volunteers, to educate the e-bikers on how to properly dismount when they're around horses, and how to safely pass them, other trail users.
I'd like to.
The issue's not going to shrink in terms
No,
of the use of these devices.
I would like to see us do some events with the school district to get the kids educated about what the do's and don'ts are, because they really do need to, I mean, there are rules, and I think we need to help them understand that they can be dangerous because they do go faster than a pedal bike in many cases, and when you don't have good control of it on a trail, it can be very dangerous for them and others. So we want to make sure we get that message out. Councilmember Musgrove, you have
Just real
something.
quickly, yes, thank you, Mayor. In the map, it shows the area Walnut Grove Park and the greater area going from Twin Oaks and then bordered on the south at East La Cienega. There are a lot of horse properties on West La Cienega, which kind of incorporates old Twin Oaks before the change. And on the trail on the east side of the road that comes from East La Cienega down to Delroy, we actually have signalization markers that are elevated for riders so that they can trip the signal light. And I do see horses. My dog walks me on that trail every day, and I do see the horses out there. I don't know that maybe we need a little bit more outreach. Perhaps one of our speakers, can address that. Would hate to see that confrontation. I don't know how we'd post that or how we'd put that information piece out, but we do have riders that frequent that trail on a regular basis. Just want to make sure that we're not asking to have that brought in, but that needs to be, I think, a separate piece. I never see them going south of Delroy. They'll usually cross at that intersection and then take up Old Twin Oaks back up to La Cienega and then cross over or to their own properties, wherever they happen to be.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we have two speakers on this item. We have John DeBois, I can't even say it, DuBois today, and then we have Joanne Stevens right after. Welcome, John. Sorry about that. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, and guests. My name is John DeBois, and I have been a lifelong San Diego resident and gladly being a resident in San Marcos now for 5 years. And I represent one of the others on the trail, the equestrian community. I've been involved with Tovia, with Patty Morton, and I volunteered to get involved with Taylor on the Trails Advisory Committee. It was a great committee involving an eclectic group representing various industries as well as enthusiasts, including myself, that got involved because I represent the horse industry. And thinking of an e-bike going by me just really bothered me, and I figured I had to get involved. We spent quite a bit of time working together to come up with a plan, and we hope that you will adopt it. Our fear as a horseman on the trail, mine isn't so much the encounter, because the encounter is quick, it's the aftermath. A loose horse on the trail will cause a tremendous amount of injury, potentially, as a result of the spooking from an e-bike, or anything else for that matter. Horses are creatures of flight. They don't stick around to find out what the problem is. They take off, and they will run. That is a big concern of ours. It has never happened to me, as I was raised on a horse and been riding ever since. But not everybody has had that, and we see, too, the horses and the bikes interact. And as Deputy Mayor Jenkins pointed out, most of those e-bike riders are adolescents, at best teenagers. And it was once recommended, I heard a recommendation that every teenage boy should be locked up until the age of 30, because that's the troubling era. Fortunately, that wasn't a policy during my teenage years. I strongly encourage the Council to adopt the recommendations of the Tovia recommendations, as well as the Trails Advisory Committee. Education is very important. Having school members or having elementary school children understand the hazards of approaching horses from in front and from behind. Sometimes we have encountered the riders are a little too zealous on their protection or their concern about horses, and they will overprotect and scare the horses even more. Education is the most important part that you can do as council members for the community. And the second thing that you can do is enforcement. It doesn't matter what rules you put on the books. If you don't enforce them, they are immaterial. Having one ranger on horseback casually going out isn't enforcement. Asking the police department to patrol the trails is unimaginable. Education is number one, and the enforcement of it through rangers, I don't know how that's going to happen, but education to those in that area that are off of training wheels and should go back on them is where you need to spend your efforts, your monies, is to educate them, because I am of the Dutton, send them to the train station if they interfere with my horse. Madam Mayor and members of the council, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I wish you would have had your hat on for theatrics, because it would have been so fun.
Well, I was taught to always take it off indoors.
I know.
But I'd be glad to come back and continue this conversation with the hat on, and I can bring in a horse and my spurs as well.
Well, I have to say the best council meeting that we ever had was when I walked in, or I came in, and there was a horse in our council chambers that only had. See, there you go. Now that is there it is. Perfect.
May I start again?
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate your input.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, next speaker is Joanne Stevens. And what a great person you were to bring up his hat, because he really needed that. We had to see that tonight.
Yeah, he did. Well, he's a tough act to follow, and I don't have as much to say, but I really, really like your idea about educating the kids at school. I mean, from young. I mean, all grades. I think that's great. My concern, I saw on the map, all around Walnut Grove Park and all that, no e-bikes and all that. That's great. But the trails that have the blind curves, I mean, there everything's open, you can see. They can see us, we can see them. But where there's blind turns and they're flying, it's just not a good idea, you know? I mean, I don't know. Where we live between, well, the trail that goes from Mulberry up the hill, and then it hits Richland and goes down towards the new school. And they come flying down, and every once in a while we see a guy on a dirt bike, and we can't catch him. That's the thing, is these guys go so fast you can't catch them. So I don't know how to enforce these things, and, you know, I don't know if more signage, I don't know what to do. So that was my concern, because they're like, our trail by our house, there's a couple of blind turns on a hill, and that's just accident waiting to happen. So I don't know what to do about it, you know. I can't, there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere, but your idea of teaching the kids at the schools is just great. So that's all I have to say. I can't, you know, I don't have as much to say as him, so that's just my concern.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
you,
you.
Joanne.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or discussion from the council?
I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
I think we all agree that the education is critical and on an ongoing basis. So my question is, the group that came together to propose what's in front of us, is the idea that that group will continue to be involved for the education / enforcement piece?
Not necessarily, but it could be something that we could look at. There's a lot of moving parts to this, especially with, and Patty will tell you, as far as horses are concerned. And Tovia does a really good job on trying to be as proactive as possible. And we're trying to be good partners in the aspect of supporting them to do just what they're asking, to help better educate the public that are non-equestrian, because you've got a 2,000-pound plus animal that if they take off running, somebody's going to get crushed. So we not only have that, but we're going to continue to do things also with our San Diego Mountain Bike Association too, to try to come up with something on more of a regular basis, but a lot of it's volunteer time. So yes, we will continue to try to expand our educational program.
I know one of our residents recently had some sort of, and I don't know if it was e-bikes or just bicycles, at Double Peak School. He did some sort of educational event there. So, I mean, having things like that, I think would, that are dual purpose, especially, when you've got a lot of kids riding them, like, out in Twin Oaks Valley and then also in San Alejo. I think there's a lot of usage. I see a lot. So just having those education events would be great.
I know, Madam Mayor, that the sheriff has been working closely with the school district, and they've gotten a lot of information from Carlsbad on how they've been dealing with their e-bike challenges on their trails too. So
Good.
I know there's a plan in place, and we just have to grow that.
And for everyone out there, if you see e-bikes on the trails, it's not our sheriff that is enforcing that, so don't call them. And will we have like a number on there that people could call on our signs?
Yes, we have a park ranger hotline that
Perfect.
they could call to let us know of anything wrong with the trail or potential violations that we need to look into. And just to piggyback on what Buck was talking about with enforcement and education, we do have our Trails Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
We meet quarterly and we talk about how we can better educate trail users. So the conversation will be ongoing with them.
Great. I definitely would like to see if they could do some events too, just to get it out there, and maybe use our parks for it. But it would be good to have those for sure, those conversations. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I have one more question. So I'm guessing as we roll this out and we get into it, we see what works, what doesn't work. Would these maps possibly change, and there could be more trails that would not allow e-bikes, or maybe?
We have to take in consideration what's happening on the trails and how
Yes.
people are responding to
Okay.
the further education aspect. And if there's things that we need to change, we have the ability to do that without having to come to you because of public safety issues.
Okay, good. So as people, if they have instances, they need to report them, because the more reports you get, hopefully you don't get any, but so would they do a report of concern or call that number, or?
I think maybe both.
Maybe both, so there's a record of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Report of concern right on our website.
Okay.
One quick thing too. So Joanne had mentioned blind curves. Can we make sure we take a look for blind curves, because she does have a point on that. I know. I think it's a backside of P Mountain. There seem to be some blind curves over in that area that are fairly steep. Yeah, Bellisbury area. It's pretty steep over there. So we might take a look at that too, to see if that might be something at a later date that we bring back and make that an area that you just can't ride them on either, for safety reasons. But any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. This is an introduction of Ordinance 2022-1515. And do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, oral communications. We do not have any other speakers. And, okay, so we're moving on because we had stopped, because we had moved past a little bit. So I have my Sandag report. We had a few items. Probably the biggest item of discussion was the legislative platform and supporting or not supporting an item that had to do with lowering the threshold from a 2/3 majority for tax measures down to a simple majority of 50% plus one. It ended up passing. I voted no against it. I feel like a lot of people vote on things that are not informed when it comes to taxes, unfortunately. And I couldn't support something like that. San Diego, it actually was a 10-8 vote to support. So 10 entities voted to support it and 8 were no. So it was kind of split because there's only 18 agencies right now. Then we also talked about progress on major transportation projects, which was an informational item. Regional early action grants. So I think we are working I looked down. I'm pretty sure we are working on trying to figure out, actually, no, I'm sorry, we voted on that. We didn't submit anything on that, Jack, on the early action plan.
That's correct.
But then there was also some, I think we talked about it in the executive committee, where there will be some funds that we would be able to apply for our general plan. And I think we already have, I brought that up a previous meeting. I think we are applying for some of those
Yeah,
funds.
we'll
aren't
apply
we?
for those, and we actually got some grants initially in the general plan process.
Okay,
in the
good.
beginning.
Good, okay. We always like to use money if it's out there to support our efforts. And then we had a closed session, and then we talked also about Transnet and transit-related revenues. But that will be coming forward. We didn't have a vote on that. That was just an informational item. And that was about it. Councilmember Walton, you have your report this evening.
Yes, thank you. We met on the 23rd of February, so I have something to report, finally.
Yeah.
This is the Northcom JPA, of course, and we approved our preliminary budget of $5.8 million, which is up, not substantially, but up from the previous year, as you would expect. In San Marcos, we're going to pay a little more this coming year because of that. I have to say, the organization, this is the 911 call center for all the fire agencies in North County except for Escondido. It's a very well-run organization. Chris Herron, the administrator, does an excellent job. The chiefs, of course, the fire chiefs, they guide us. So it's really a kind of a pleasure to go to. We also discussed the county's new creation of mobile crisis response teams. You may be aware of that. There's kind of a movement to handling mental health crises and substance use crises instead of sending traditional law enforcement, having a different response. And so there's a question of how the 911 calls will be transferred during that period. It's unresolved right now, but they're meeting on a regular basis with the county to figure that out. And then this is something that we should be aware of. It might even warrant something on the city website, but all the major carriers, the cell carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, are eliminating 3G. So if you have a phone that relies on 3G, it's not going to work anymore, including 911. And people that have older phones, non-smartphones, some folks even just have a cell phone just for 911 purposes. If it's old and it's just 3G, if it's AT&T, it might be canceled because they mentioned that was going to end in February, but T-Mobile ends in July of this year, and Verizon ends at the end of the year in December. So I think that's something that we might want to put somewhere, do a little social media push on that just to educate some of our residents who might still have 3G phones. But that was it. The meetings are quick, and those were some of the things that we covered.
Thanks for sharing that. I think, honestly, that would be a push notification that we might want to do when, because we do have our system that pushes out notifications when people have signed up. I think that if we could do a notification about that, that would be great. Thanks, Councilmember. Okay, City Council business visits. We had a fun one. Guess what that is? It's a new Costco business. Yes, that was yesterday. It's amazing. We have notes. It was a fun visit, and that was the manager is right to my right in the picture, and he is a San Marcos resident. Just moved here, loves it here. Anyway, that was Jared, and then we had Mary from Costco Marketing, Clay from Costco Regional, and then also Scott from Costco National. And they're excited to be here in San Marcos. Ribbon cutting is on St. Patty's Day at 7 a.m. in the morning. And what are the fun things that they're going to be giving away that day? Oh, and by the way, you don't have to have a Costco membership on that opening day, right?
On that day only.
Yep, that day only. But otherwise, you do have to have it. So anyway, do you have some notes you'd like to share?
A few notes, thank you, Mayor. The general hours are going to be Monday through Friday, 7 to 6, 8 to 5 Saturday, and closed on Sundays. If you have a Costco membership card, it will work at the business center also. Yeah. Those strawberry waffles are hypnotizing, aren't they?
Where
I'm with you, Patty.
They had a lot of really interesting food that you don't see anywhere else.
So, yeah, Costco, they don't just randomly open these business centers, and there are only 11 of them in the state of California, 5 in the Los Angeles area, and not all in the city of. 3 in the Bay Area, 1 in Sacramento, the 1 in the Claremont, Kearny Mesa area, and now San Marcos, and a total of 23 nationwide. So we are very special. We had the folks that were there with us and helping with the tour some of them are from the national office, specifically coming out to make sure this is a success. They will have packaged food items, but not foods prepared on site. So the sandwiches, the rotisserie chickens, they will not have those.
And no tastings.
No tastings.
Mm-mm.
No,
No
yeah.
tastings. Don't go there for the tastings. You won't find any.
Don't look for the tray with the toothpick. You won't find
Nope.
them.
Nope.
They will have our feature foods such as dairy, produce, meats, and in fact, they will have, the building itself is 144,000 square feet, 10,000 dedicated to a refrigerated area, and that will be compartmentalized.
That was the video. The video was
Yeah.
the cold storage. It's huge.
So the 10,000 feet, you'll have an area specifically for dairy and then cheeses and salamis, things like that, prepared meats, but packaged to take, and then one area specifically for the meats, large package beef, chicken, pork, and such. You know, if you go to Costco, sometimes you say, I'll come back next week, and next week it isn't there, or maybe it's been moved. They do that. They call it treasure hunting. So if they move it somewhere else, you go look and see what else they have. It generates sales, but it also generates interest. Well, this store will not be moving items, and you can see in that photograph right there, some of those aisles are numbered, like you would find at Home Depot, let's say. So when you see something in aisle 130, that's where it will be. They're not moving them around. And the store will be not physically partitioned, but as you come in, one side is geared specifically for retail, so the convenience stores mostly, and then the other side is for restaurants. So, and they will have some fairly large commercial grade refrigerators, cooktops, a lot of different appliances.
Panini presses, not for your house, but
A $500 panini press.
Yep.
That will be the best sandwich you've ever made. That building was empty a week ago today. We were there yesterday, and they were 75% complete. And so when empty means the racks were not in place. They were installing the racks, bringing in the product. And I don't think we have a photograph of it, but we were coming in through the area where the loading docks are, they had product palletized already going out. So product coming in, they try to not store items there. They use a computer-based system that tells them what is a fast mover, so they bring it in and it goes right back out. So some items might only be on their shelf one day, but then they have it coming right back in, which is really nice. So as an example, they had pallets with soy sauce, but the soy sauce were in 5-gallon buckets. So you might have 40 5-gallon buckets on one pallet, but that would go to a restaurant chain. Bulk item products will offer a variety of flavors. If we have any business folks here, you know that sometimes you have products that move a little more quickly than others. They use Gatorade as an example. If you go to the store, you buy Gatorade, you have to get the variety pack. They will have those there, but they will also have those items by specific flavors. So if you have a mover, you're not stuck with buying product that's going to sit on your shelf. You can buy that. Everything down to the chewing gum. Chewing gum broken down by flavors. I think I've got just about, they will also provide products regionally. So not just for that particular operation, but also our other Costco store, other Costcos in the greater San Diego area. And this operation, the folks that run it will also incorporate Imperial County and I think parts of Riverside County. So it's going to be a very, very busy operation. And like everyone else, they're hiring.
Yep.
So if you go to Costco.com, you'll find all the available positions, and they break it down by location or particular job type. So it's a fantastic place.
And if you have a home business, they will not deliver to you.
right.
But if you have a business, they will deliver right to your door. So they will have deliveries going out. And an interesting thing that I didn't even realize, they don't have like, so you can order office supplies, right, online if you have a business, but they don't actually carry them in the store. So they are actually farmed out, which I had no idea. I guess Staples even does that. So anyway, they will come on the truck, and it's really interesting. So they go and they pick them up and they put them on the truck with the other stuff that they brought from the actual store, and then they deliver it to your house. They have it all down to a science. I guess they have done it very efficiently. And again, there's only 23 of them nationally.
Right.
So anyway, huge store, unbelievable. And we did see, do you remember what was on that pallet in the back? The first thing when we walked in, they do have toilet paper. In stock. In stock if you can't find it. That was and water, lots of water.
Yes, enough water and toilet paper to last you through the next 2 pandemics.
Yes, and they do have some very unusual things that you don't see anywhere else.
Interesting.
Or something like weird.
They have a lot of food items that you might not find at a grocery store. And as an example, so plantain chips. So there's a variety of flavors there, but those would be movers for maybe a store. Snack food items that some I've never seen before. They have some, I love squid, I love seafood, but they have dried squid seafood snacks. They have it's not actually seaweed, but it's
seaweed.
the basis for like a California roll. Nori, thank you very much. They have that in big packages, so a restaurant might need that. They can pick it up there, hydrate it, and they're off they go.
They also have the roasted and snacking time, because my daughter eats that. I don't know how but she likes it.
If you're not a buyer, it's worth the trip just to go in there and look around. It's very interesting the way they have it.
Interesting.
And easy to get around. The aisles are nice and large because they're constantly moving the forklifts in and out, so you're not going to get crowded like you might get in some stores.
And they, like pain relievers, I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, when you go to a convenience store or a gas station or whatever, they have them in small packages, like of 2, just 1 dose or whatever. They actually have them there too. So they have that, and then they have the regular big size. So I thought it was interesting. Never been into a Costco business, first time there. I think it was your first time too, right?
First time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all we have on that. Yes? Yeah, I have a question. Oh, you're gonna have to come up to the podium, Tanis, if you have a question. By the way, I sent someone to you the other day. I know this is out of our normal realm, but I saw her raising her hand also. Tanis runs our historical society. I sent someone to you the other day.
Great.
Right in the middle of horse country.
Yep.
We take them. 2 questions. What distinguishes a business Costco from a regular Costco?
Well, it is a different store, as we were discussing, and it's geared more towards businesses rather than individuals.
But anybody can use their Costco card
As long
to
as
get
you have a
in?
Costco card, you can. And then on opening day, again, you don't have to have a Costco card at all, but yes, normally under normal circumstances, yes.
Okay. And then my other question is, do you know how many San Marcos residents this new facility will employ?
I don't think they have those numbers yet, but they do have openings right now.
How many people are going to work there? I mean,
That's a good question.
I think they had 120 employees that they've actually already hired, but I'm not sure what their total number is.
To get this opening right now, they're drawing employees from the business center in Kearney Mesa, our other Costco store, and Costco stores around the region, because staffing is an issue for everyone, so they need experienced people right now. They'll get everything up and running, and then do the training to backfill as they go along.
Right.
So there are opportunities for employment at every level.
Great. Super. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any council commentary?
We have
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, Jack. No, we want to hear all about it. I hope you have pictures, visuals.
I
No
don't think we have
pictures?
pictures this week. Sorry about
Oh, gosh. Well, then never mind. No,
that.
I'm just
me.
kidding.
That's disappointing. So we have SDG&E working through the Bent area bridge area. So that utility work that's happening there hopefully will be live by the end of the month. Our pothole striping work on Discovery repair work was completed. We also added a little keep clear area in front of the Lakeview Mobile Home Park to help residents entering and exiting there during the construction. If you've been by, you might have noticed we've been drilling around where the Vera Cruz Bridge will be. We added some extra drilling there to help the contractor verify subsurface conditions, because you remember what we found at the Bent Avenue Bridge.
Yep.
We have a lot of really hard rock. They'll be doing some clearing some of the creek area, the open space area. This week, it's kind of a key point in time to do that. And then the last piece, the water high line on the south side of Discovery got pushed back a little bit, some utility conflicts, a little bit of rain last week. So that'll be hopefully completed here within the next week or so. And that's key to eventually flipping our focus over to that side of Discovery.
When are we starting the sound wall for the mobile home park?
That's still a ways out. That'll be after we switch over from Bent to Vera Cruz, and so that's several months out at best.
I noticed that one of the fences looked like it needed some work, but I'm assuming they probably wouldn't fix it since they're going to be getting a nice new sound wall.
Yeah, if
Why
I were
put the
them,
money into it?
I don't
Yeah.
think I'd invest a whole lot now, knowing that there's a new wall coming up.
Right.
Along the right away.
Okay, all right. Okay,
I have
yes.
a quick question. What is the timing for the new Discovery Road coming over and connecting?
I don't have a specific date. We're working with that developer. That's not our project. We're
Right.
coordinating with the developer. It's an important piece of being able to open the bridge and make the connection, and so we're working with them as to whether we do a sort of a interim connection over to Craven, or if we could, which I think is what's going to happen, because I think they're a few months behind us. But it's, I would say summer is probably a best guess as to when they would get it all the way through. So we're really trying to figure out the coordination as we get Discovery, our part through, how we can get the bridge opened, because we don't want the bridge to sit not open too long once it's ready to open.
Right, okay.
Right, and so our date on the bridge is?
Working on that. I don't have a date for you on that.
Okay, all right. Okay, council commentary?
I probably should have done this a few moments ago, but excellent job by our Trails Committee and Parks and Rec, but a huge lift by our city attorney for going through the entire ordinance and giving us the strikeout section so we can see what was changed and updating it to meet our current needs. So thank you very much, Helen.
Okay, all right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Happy International Women's Day.